I want to talk today. I know that this is a big week for those of you who are in the middle of the high holidays, and it's a time of contemplation. I think it is for a lot of people this time of year in general. The dark is coming, and the quietude of fall is starting to arrive, and it's really quite a special time. It's a special time to be moving into fall. And one of the things with all the craziness that's been happening in the world, but especially in our culture, with all the collective trauma of generational trauma that is coming to a surface right now with the Black Lives Matter movement and many other things that are just kind of all coalescing as we've been shaken up by this pandemic. I think there's a lot that's erupting, which is a really good thing. It's scary sometimes with all the change happening, but I think it's really a good thing because we're bringing to the surface, we're pulling out roots that have been dug deep for a very long time and seeing what's there. So I just want to talk a little bit about generational trauma. There's a lot of new studies coming out around generational trauma, things that are 3 generations back. It can be cycled generations, even past 3 generations back. But everyone has experienced generational trauma in their families. And there's a lot of new data coming out around neuroscience and psychology and how to help us work through generational trauma, which is really at the root of so much of our social unrest at the moment. And there's a researcher, her name's Isabella Monsuy, and she, let me just say firsthand, I don't really like animal studies. I have a little bit of a niggle around trying to learn something about humanity through abuse of animals. So I don't really condone this, but it's something to learn from. She has worked with mice, and I think I've mentioned this before in class, but she exposed mice to the smell of cherry blossoms, and at that same time shocked the mice. Whenever they would smell cherry blossoms, she would shock them. And it didn't take long. It didn't take multiple generations. It took just this group of mice for them to start developing greater smell receptors in their brains so that they could detect this cherry blossom scent at a lower level and get away from the shock before the shock came. So they learned very quickly that the smell of cherry blossoms was unsafe. And then she proceeded to mate the male mice from this group with females that were not shocked at all, didn't have this exposure to trauma around cherry blossom smell, and found that the offspring, the pups of these mice, without any exposure to trauma themselves around cherry blossom smell, had greater smell receptors and a greater fight or flight response to the smell of cherry blossoms. Without any training themselves, they were not exposed to shocks at all. So, this is what it's meant to have a generational trauma, that you learn something from your parents, and really 3 generations is where the research is showing. And like I said, these can be cyclical, so we can go even past 3 generations. That we learn these epigenetically, we learn the trauma response of our forefathers, and we have changes in the way we respond to things because of it. So how do we change this? How do we shift some sort of trauma that we don't even know, we may not even know what that is. And, all this that's kind of digging up in the dirt right now, we're exposing all this cultural trauma that our culture has had, that we've perpetrated and been victims of. And the same study with these mice showed that you could also reverse the trauma effect with the mice very quickly. That if you slowly over time expose them over and over to cherry blossom scent without shocking them, their trauma response and their fight or flight response changed fairly quickly for them to be able to no longer be afraid of the smell of cherry blossoms. So that's hopeful news from my perspective, is that even though we've experienced challenges, and our grandparents and parents and many generations before have, we can create change today. We can make things happen for ourselves and also for our future generations. So some of the things that have been proven to help with that in these epigenetic studies is first, just being able to stay within the place of positive sensation. And we can't do this, we can't linger in the feeling you get when you're in the woods, and that sense of peace. I mean, that's my feeling. I feel relaxed and peaceful when I'm in the woods, but whatever that is for you, it's difficult to really marinate in that and let it be sustaining if we have not worked through some of the ways we are still held in our fight or flight. So the freezing, the holding and gripping in our body, the denial or disassociation or detachment from things that have been struggles for us. We need to first integrate some of those sensations in the body before we can move forth and marinate in the smell of cherry blossoms that's not hurting us. So yoga is so good for this. There's so much that we can do when we learn that se le lame, that sense of feeling at the flesh inside, that African word where we learn to interocept, we learn to go in and feel the sensations of the body and allow things to move through us. So whether that's fear or anger or sadness or, anything that's been difficult for us, if we can be there and have a greater tolerance for sustaining the sensation of difficult emotional states in our body, we get to go underneath and find a more sustainable sensation base that's there, that is more integrated, that is more unifying, connecting, like simple things like things that help us feel alive, our heartbeat, our breath, that really unify us, connect us instead of disconnect us. So we have to have a greater tolerance for being able to stay in the sensations that are difficult so we can move through them and then get to the underlying good that is there, so we can stay there. And when we can get to that place of staying in those positive sensations, this builds a lot of change in our hormonal states. We change our neurochemistry, we change the way we put messages into long-term memory of what's good. So there's a lot that can be done just by the simple act of being able to stay in strong sensation. So this is tapas, one of the yoga niyamas, the personal disciplines of yoga, is being able to not withstand, but stay, marinate, be in, let it flow through you, difficult sensations so that we can prepare to stay in better, more comfortable sensations that are underneath that. The next thing besides all those emotional states is moving outward. So when we get to a place where we can hold goodness, can we share that? Can we offer our goodness outward? Can we hold compassion for other people's sufferings? Can we hold gratitude? All these practices of like Tonglen meditation and gratitude practices, which are in our yogic path, are also great tools for us to be able to change the state of generational trauma. And then lastly, besides the feeling states of gratitude and compassion, ultimately we get strong enough and healed enough to lead us into action. And this is when we can become activists, when we can support other people, when we can stand firm and be there solidly for ourselves and others. So to get to all of that, which is what we're wanting in our society right now, we really need to work on the individual stuff of working with staying in the difficult sensations that are up within us instead of pushing it over there or just raging and not letting move through you. So if you are moving toward Yom Kippur and working toward this concept of forgiveness of self and others and asking for forgiveness, this is a great place to be in for a little bit, to stay in trying to not just contemplate in the mind what needs to shift and change, but contemplate in the body too, because trauma is held in the body. So let's practice. Okay. So as you come to a comfortable seat, know that your practice is a refuge, that when you are able to slowly build up your resiliency, This is a comfortable place to hold discomfort, and work within the range that you are capable of. You don't want to inflict more trauma on yourself by forcing yourself to deal with something you're not quite ready for. So let's just drop in. Feel a sense of rooting into the lower body. So take a breath, both in and out, and see what it feels like to soften yourself into the groundedness. Can you yield? Is there a place for you to have a relationship and support with the earth below you? Drop a little lower. Breathe a little deeper. And just scan. Is there places along your skull or eyes that could soften a bit more? Is there ease moving through your jaw and your tongue? Can you relax the base of the skull? And when you land in an uncomfortable feeling state, where's your response typically living in your body? Do you tense somewhere? Do you hold your breath? Is there a gripping, or do you get numb somewhere? Try to explore how difficulty lands in your body, not just in your mind. And if you know that there's a place where it lands, go there and see what you can do to bring ease, bring your breath. It could be as simple as, your hands clench into a fist, or your shoulders creep up toward your ears, or you breathe high in your chest, or your back tightens. I mean, there's so many little things that can happen. So just find your spots and melt with the breath as best as you can. Make room for things to move instead of hold. If you are a holder, if this has been a pattern for you, particularly work with the rhythm of the breath. The breath is one of our allies in flow, in feeling the state of give and take, of receiving and giving. Letting things move. Feel how the breath moves through you. What's restricting the breath from moving freely? And as you are ready, let's bring our hands together at our heart and bow in. Take a moment to just receive this posture, the sense of deep connection. What is it that you need today? All right, and then let's release our hands and come onto our back. So know that your practice is a gift of presence. So give yourself the opportunity to be in your body as we practice. Try to stay as best as you can. Try to stay. All right, reorient yourself. Feel gravity spread out on you like a blanket. Feel the weight of your bones. And just take a moment to feel that rearranging, where your body feels a little different than when you were sitting or standing. Take a full deep breath here and enjoy the way the ribs can expand differently. All right, and then as you're ready, stretch your arms overhead and reach and lengthen. Move your right side, move your left side. Just come into that space of opening How's your breath? All right, and then when you're ready, bring the knees into the chest and give yourself a little hug. Rock around a little bit. Swing from side to side if it feels good. Just get into the sensations of rocking. Let this ease your nervous system. Let it be a cue that all is well, that you can relax. And then let's circle the knees a few times. Let's go one direction. And then circle the knees another direction. And just feeling that sense of connection across the back of your body. So what's your sacrum feeling like? The right knee into the chest, the left leg long on the floor. Move your ankles around. And as you say hello to different parts of the body and welcome in a heightened sensation, can you befriend? Can you find an essence of respect and care, loving care for yourself? And let's bring the other knee in, left knee in, right leg long on the floor, and start to move around in this side. Maybe your knee moves a little bit out and in, maybe the ankles are moving. All right, bring both knees into the chest now and move the knees apart from each other and back in. And of course, you're going to feel your hips rotate around a little bit as you swirl your knees in and out. But just also feel the movement of the pelvis. Do you want to have some tipping of the pelvis at all when you're moving the knees? Can you see the impact of moving your hip joints and how it impacts your spine? All right, and then stretch your body out, limbs wide. Extend from your navel to your edges. Squeeze everything you can. Maybe you want to yawn like I do. Maybe you want to hold your breath to see what's there. And then let that go and bring the knees into the chest. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, pick up your head, all your air out. Give a good squeeze on the out breath. And then open yourself up. One more time, starfishing. Open your body. Spread out from your navel to your edges. Exhale and draw in. All right, let's release the feet on the floor, arms straight out like a T, wide feet, wider than hips, and start to move from side to side. Let's turn the head in opposition. Feel free to stretch the chest a little bit. You can pause with your knees down, or you can keep moving, whichever feels nice in your body. Let's enjoy the simplicity, simple stretches, simple feelings, that your states that you're having in your body. So if you are a breath holder or a body holder or a body ignorer when it comes to your stress response, invite breath, invite sensation, welcome yourself back home. All right, and then let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Start moving through some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time. Find the breath. Feel free to swirl things around, move your shoulder blades on your back, feel your spine, maybe move your pelvis around or your head. Try to befriend the body. So this idea of tapas, of being able to hold discipline around staying with strong sensation, we have to first just enjoy. You know, you got to welcome yourself in. You can't expect to hold something really powerful if you can't just hold something pretty smooth and gentle. So let's just allow some ease in the beginning here. All right, and then right arm lifting up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor, let the shoulders relax, open up the ribs, and maybe lift your arm up in the air and stretch open through your pecs. If this does not make your neck or back feel good, put your hand back down on the floor. All right, and then exhale, release the hand, reach that other arm up to the sky, place the hand down onto the ground. Change sides, arm lifting up, exhale, sliding your arm down. Gaze toward the floor, deepen your breath here. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And then inhale. Lift that arm to the sky if you want and just see what that feels like. And if you don't like it, then don't do it. Spread open across your chest and then release the hand down onto the ground. Inhale, lift that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Curl your toes under for a moment. Stretch your hips back towards child's pose. Just wake up the bottom of the feet a little bit. Bring your ankles to touch. Then pull your ankles away from each other and bring them back to touch. Just let the bottom of the feet expand. And then unwind the feet. Let them lay flat on the ground and stretch back towards child's pose. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat and open the right rib cage up. Feel your breath touch in here. Relax the base of the skull. If you're learning through your yoga practice to open yourself up to the sensations of the body and let them move through you, keep remembering that less can be more, that, being aggressive and forceful in the body sometimes makes us more tense, more gripped, more tight. So allow a sense of just the right sweet spot, the right amount of stretch, the right amount of flex, the right amount of breath, so that we can find our way inward. That feeling of interoception is come back to all fours, and then come up to dog pose. Stretch through your body. That feeling of interoception, the holding the sensations of the body in our awareness, is really helped by yielding and breathing. So have a moment here to yield, to feel your hands and your feet give way to the earth, to rebound from the earth, to extend through your spine. Have that play, that dance that happens on the breath, that happens with the earth. Loose joints make the dance happen in your body better than locked out joints. Feel free to move any way that feels really good in your body. Don't forget to breathe. Just keep the breath flowing as best as you can. And let's walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold a little bit. Bend your knees as much as you want. Feel free to wag your tail, your shoulders, your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine grows, the thigh bones move back, the shin bones are forward. Exhale and melt and fold again. Push off your feet, rise up, reaching the arms, open up to a little bit of the back bend here. Feel the thoracic spine open, broad in your chest, collarbones are wide, cactus open through your shoulders and arms. Exhale and round in. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, big circle with the arms. Interlace your hands behind your back. Open across your collarbones. Make sure your neck is nice and relaxed. Bend your knees a lot and bring your arms away from the spine. Feel your body relax here. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other. Relax your neck. And then release the hands down onto the ground. Step your front foot back, so that would be your right foot. Let's keep the right foot forward, the left foot back. Come into a lunge, extend through your spine. Find your breath. What's new here? Can you feel the stretch through the hip flexors of that back leg? Extending the heart open. Let's start to move. Square hips, tuck your chin toward your chest. Inhale, bring a bend into that knee, heart comes forward. Stay present with the sensations that you're feeling. Relax your eyes. All the little tiny hints of places that you hold tension or dysregulation or disintegration. See if you can stay present with those parts and invite them in. Only you know where those places are. Everybody's got a little bit different way of, landing in their body. Come into a lunge now. Rise up. Reach your arms wherever they want to go, so they can be up, out, down. Open the chest, feel the thoracic spine lean just a little bit, so the chest broadens, We're not compressing into the lumbar spine. Stay stable, yield your feet, find your breath. Exhale and release the hands down to the ground. Back foot comes forward. Fold, relax the head, melt the tension. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step your other foot back. So the right foot is back, the left foot is forward. Pause here for a moment. Just experience that lunge. Open up the hip flexors in the back. Find your midline, hug toward the midline with your legs. Feel the extension of your crown. Allow your feet to yield. Find loose joints in your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists. Find your breath. And then as you're ready, let's climb up. Once again, hands go anywhere you want them to be. Just find what's nice for you today. Come into the sensations of the breath. Stay in the body. Feel the yielding. Give yourself over to the earth and rebound out. Find some looser joints. How are your fingers? How is your jaw? All the little places. It doesn't just have to be your pelvis or your knees. And then release the hands down onto the ground. Step back to a plank. Hold steady here. If you are a gripper, if your stress response makes you grip, this might be very familiar. This sense of strength and kind of hugging in. So just notice what feels familiar to you, what doesn't, what feels easeful to you, what doesn't. Are you still able to breathe? Are you still able to yield? Put your knees down onto the ground and lie on the floor. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, and release your body down. Back of the neck stays long. Open things up. Exhale and release. Let's remember to stabilize the core and the pelvis for our back bends. Stretch your legs for a moment. Feel your quads engage. Just let some activity happen in your legs. And then find the core support. Engage through your transverse abdominis. Inhale, lift up again. Exhale and melt back down. Pick up your feet. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. You can put your arms where you want them, your head where you want them. And then let's rest prone on the ground for a moment. You can put your head on your hands or turn your head. And just enjoy the whole body yielding. Drop in. Scan your body for those places that are difficult for you and do what you can to surrender. All right, let's come back up onto all fours. Feel free to move around a little bit so you can swirl through your shoulders, your hips. Find your way up to dog pose when you're ready. Hug your hands toward each other. Find the length of the spine. See what it feels like to integrate the rib cage. So as you hug your hands toward the midline, feel the stability through your lats, your serratus muscles, all along the sides of your torso engaging. And then feel the slide glide of your shoulder blades. So push off the floor with your hands. Extend up to the hips, still holding the midline. How is your breath when you try to integrate movement patterns like this? Do you lose your breath? Do you lose the ease? All right, come down onto your knees. We're going to walk our hands forward and come into puppy pose. So the hips stay high. We're dropping our spine toward the floor, lifting the armpits slightly away from the floor. So have that oppositional movement where we're going one direction and going the opposite direction simultaneously. So thoracic spine down, armpits up. Feel the breath. Open up into that spine. And then go ahead and release and come back up to dog pose. Lengthen through your spine here. When you're ready, lift the right leg up in the air, stack the right hip over the left, feel some space in the ribs, in the hip. Take a deep breath here. And as you're ready, draw the knee back to evenness, so your pelvis is even. Take a deep breath in, stretch that heel. Exhale, knee to nose.
Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. Strong sensation. Stay with it. Yield with it. Breathe with it. Inhale, bring it up. Let's bring our foot forward. Come into a lunge. Plant the back knee down onto the ground. Inhale, come up to a modified crescent lunge. So we're down on the ground. Front heel and back knee moving toward each other to support. Lengthen upward. Let's twist. Bring the elbow or forearm or something onto the knee. Feel the spine lift. Try not to lean forward. Lift up. Broaden across your collarbones. Yield your knee and your foot. Rebound with some strength. Exhale and release the hands down. Inside edge of your knee. Curl the toes back under and lift that thigh. You can always keep your knee down too. Shoulders are away from the ears. Extend, widen the sit bones. Extend the spine. Step back, dog pose. Inhale, lift the left leg up in the air. Stack open the left hip. Lift under the right armpit. Try not to collapse. Stretch through that leg. Enjoy the openness in the deep belly, the psoas. Square the hips again. Take a deep breath in. Stretch that foot back. Exhale, knee to nose. Soft joints yielding. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it on back. Let's plant that foot forward. Come into a lunge. Take your time. Place your knee down onto the ground and rise up. Okay. Once you're here, when you reach your arms up, try not to sink into the low back. See if you can stay stable where you're not pushing into the ligaments. You're hugging the front heel and back knee toward each other, hugging the inner thighs toward the midline so that you're upright instead of falling. Open up the chest. Arms can go anywhere. All right, and then we're going to find a twist. Bring your forearm, your elbow, something to the leg. Lift. Use your other hand to push onto the ground, onto the thigh, to lift the spine upright instead of leaning down. Come upright in the body, still finding the legs. Find your yielding feet and knee. Find the breath. All right, and then exhale. Come to the inside edge of your foot. Bring that back knee up off the ground if your body is capable, feeling good to do that. Extend the spine, widen the sit bones. Let the left sit bone soften downward. Feel the heart expand, the collarbones expand. How's your breath? All right, let's go ahead and step your front foot back. Come to a plank again. Finding the breath. And let's put our knees down. Ever so slowly come to the earth. Bring your forearms forward so your elbows are under your shoulders. Come into Sphinx pose. Now this is a pretty easy pose to collapse the low back and shrink the low back. What can you do to extend the low back? Feel the torso gain in length. Lift the pubic bone toward the belly button. Feel the torso hug in toward the center. Feel the work of your glutes, of your legs. Open your collarbones. And then exhale and release. We're going to come up onto our knees and we're going to find dolphin pose. So remember, you can always bring a block between your hands, palms on the block if you prefer. Lift your hips up. Lift the heart up toward the pelvis. Take the thigh bones back. Soften the knee joints. Relax your head. Try not to collapse toward the floor, but lift your torso away from the ground. See if you can feel a little bit of a back bend in the thoracic spine without pushing your armpits toward your feet. Resist. Pull your armpits just a little bit away from your feet and go upward instead of back. Finding the breath. Spread out your hands. Enliven the yielding through your arms, your hands. And then exhale and relax. Come back to child's pose. Take your arms down at your sides. Find your breath. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Got a little bit more work to do with the shoulders in this way. So bring your forearms back. Once again, you can hold the block. palms can be facing toward each other. When your palms are down, if you tend to internally rotate the arms and your elbows splay out, better to have your palms facing each other so that you can integrate the elbows in line with the shoulders. This will keep you in a better stable place for your shoulders. Okay, so use the block if you need the block, or you can even just have your hands facing toward each other. We're gonna come back into a forearm plank. So you get to decide how you want to be, finding the breath. Stable through your core. Remember the transverse abdominis wraps around your whole torso. Imagine you have a block between your thighs. Feel a little inner spiral with an imaginary block to hold. Find the breath. The neck is soft. What can let go even though you're working hard? Can you stay in the sensation? Can you feel a little bit of yielding and ease somewhere? And then go ahead and bring your knees down onto the ground and stretch back towards child's pose again. Arms down at your sides. Relax here, breathe here. All right, and we're gonna come up onto all fours. And you can come to dog pose if you prefer. You can skip a dog pose here if you prefer. Let's bring our right foot forward. Come into Virabhadrasana 1. So plant the back heel down, rise up, reaching the arms upward, outward, anywhere you want them to be. Maybe if that was a lot of strong work in the shoulders, something different is called for to give your shoulders a break. Find the breath. Feel the yielding feet lift up through your spine. Feel the glutes work. Feel the hamstrings work. Feel the core work. Where are you holding tension that's unnecessary? Can you feel the difference between effort and tension? Are there places where you're not allowing flow? Can you bring the breath? All right, exhale. Hands coming down to the ground. Place your back knee onto the floor again. Same side, we're not switching. Take your left hand onto the floor. You might need to stand up and just do a quad stretch. Instead of this, if you're staying in the lunge, left hand comes down, reach back and grab your left foot with the right hand. Okay, opening up, finding the quad stretch. When you do this, and alternately, you could be standing up and grabbing onto your foot. So we just want to stretch our quads. If you happen to be in the lunge, you get to stretch both your hip flexors and your quadriceps. Feel that front heel and back knee supporting toward each other. Feel the chest broaden, the collarbones too. Okay, exhale and release, let that go. Okay. Walk the back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana, relax here for a moment. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Halfway lift. Exhale, melt back down. Bend your other knee, so our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. Heel coming down onto the ground, Virabhadrasana 1. Open up through your spine, reaching the arms upward. Hang out there in your body. Just hang out inside your body. What's here? Can you slide the shoulder blades down? Can you relax your traps? Is your back knee able to soften a bit? Are you feeling the sensations of your torso? Are your eyes melty? Find the movement of your breath. Maybe your arms go a slightly different place than you had on the other side. What do you need? And let's release the hands down to the floor. Place your knee onto the ground. Decide if you're going to stand up and do a quad stretch or if you're going to be here. So this time our left hand is going to be on the ground. Reach back and grab your your right hand's going to go on the ground. Reach back and grab your right foot with your left hand. Shoulders are away from the ears, collarbones broaden. Try not to splay and sink. Hug the knee in, root the big toe, extend the spine. Keep finding your breath. Relax the shoulders, relax the traps, let the neck be free. Okay, exhale and release that foot down onto the ground. Walk your back foot forward again, fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down again. Push off your feet, rise up, reaching the arms to the sky. Chair pose. If you want to have a block between your thighs, feel free to have a block between your thighs. Anything that you want for chair pose. Put your arms anywhere you want them to be. If you're able to maintain working with that thoracic back bend, do something that helps with that. So cactus arms or arms up in the air will give you a little bit more capacity for that than if you have your hands to your heart. Even having your hands down with your palms facing forward can give you that sense of opening across the chest a little bit better than your hands to your heart. So find what's working. Keep breathing. Drop your weight. Yield. Close your eyes. Strong sensation in the service of transformation. Can we learn to stay and let things move through us? Can the feeling of your quads just dissipate like ripples in a pond? Can you spread the sensation out a little bit beyond the sensation of your quads? Can you let your breath help you? Inhale, stand up straight and tall. Exhale and fold forward. Relax your head. Halfway lift. Spine gets longer. Exhale and melt back down. If you have a block, time to get rid of it. Let's step your right foot forward, left foot back. Come on up. Interlace your hands behind your back. Open the chest. Exhale, come forward, humble warrior. Bring your torso toward the inner thigh. Lift your arms away from the spine wherever they go. Shoulders are away from the ears. Release the traps down. Feel both feet. Feel yielding. Feel breath. Okay, unwind. Open yourself up and turn to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Finding the breath here. Maybe your arms want to do something different. Can you feel that you're stable and free? This is such a good posture to practice that sensation of stability and ease simultaneously. Can your breath move, travel around? Can it find those hidden places that are disassociated or tense and bring unity, bring connection? All right, let's go ahead and swivel back, dog pose. 2 hands on the floor, stretch your spine, finding the breath here. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Left foot coming forward, plant the heel down. Rise up. Interlace your fingers the other way, so the less traveled way more than likely. Open the chest. Exhale and lean forward. Shoulder on the inside edge of your knee. Hug to the midline with your legs. Relax your head. Can you yield both feet? Can you breathe? Are your traps up at your ears, or can you move them down? Yield your feet and then push off your feet. Come on up and turn and open to the side for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So, we're kind of going around our hips in different positions. So allow yourself to be where you need to be with both your arms and your legs. Finding the breath. Feel stable. Cultivate ease. Cultivate it on your breath. Can the exhales lengthen? Is there a sense of relaxation, or do you have an up in your nervous system? Can you let the nervous system drop just a bit? Feel the yielding. Give yourself over to the earth. Strong sensation while relaxing. Find the places that are hiding from you and bring your breath. All right, come on up. Relax the arms. Turn to the long edge of your mat. Take a deep breath. Open the heart. Exhale and fold forward. Relax your head. Melt the traps. Melt the shoulders. Deep breaths here. And we're going to turn toward the front of our mat and have one last pass through vinyasa. Come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady, finding the breath. All right, and then let's lower ourselves down to the ground. Take your arms anywhere that's feeling helpful for either locust pose or Superman pose. So the arms can be up, out, or back. Neck is long. Feel the whole back body. Feel the breath. Engage through your diaphragm. Open it up. And then release. Turn your head one way or the other. Melt into the floor. Give yourself over. Feel your heartbeat. Can you feel those very subtle and profound symbols that you are alive and well? The pulsing of your heart, the lungs breathing, maybe a little shake in your muscles if you're fatigued. Come up onto your hands and your knees. Find any kind of movement that is nice in your body. And we're going to come onto our back. We're working our way up toward a restorative back bend. And we're just going to do one more active one before we go there. So bridge pose. Feet are hip width apart. Feel free to put a block between your thighs if you like that. We're going to inhale to lift the pelvis. Rock onto the tops of the shoulders. Keep the neck neutral so we're not pushing our neck into the floor. Palms are facing up. Arms are pressing down. Feet are rooting. Where can you yield? Where can you breathe? Oftentimes, the ways that we tend to tense are across our belly and our chest, our shoulders. So take your breath into some open space. Feel the diaphragm have lots of room to move. Full deep breathing. All right, and then come down and rest. Let's windshield wiper our knees. We can come back like we did in the beginning of class with our arms out to the sides, turning your head in opposition to your knees. All right, let's go ahead and roll over onto our side and grab a blanket. You also might need either a second blanket or a block. We're going to take a blanket and open it up like this and then roll it. Now, if you have a really open chest, you could roll two blankets together if you want to. One is usually sufficient. Once again, when we're trying to get comfortable in the sensations of the body, sometimes less is more. So you don't have to push into your most extreme. This often hardens us and doesn't give us wiggle room to feel the pliability, the juiciness, the yielding, the breath. So backing away from your extreme can sometimes be very helpful. So we're going to do this in a few different positions. Now, I'm pretty comfortable with my head moving back, but if you're not, you can put a blanket or a block underneath your head. The blanket is in between your shoulder blades, and we're going to take our arms, and there's a few different positions. Probably the most comfortable is your arms straight out like a T, but you can also cactus the arms. You can also interlace and grab your hands around your elbows, and oops, I'm hitting the couch, and you can stretch your arms overhead, or you can have just your arms long and stretched overhead. So experiment, and you don't have to stay in one spot either. You can move around. Remember, less can be more. So let's support ourselves any way you need to. If your head needs more support, take it. Blankets are really nice for this. If your arms need support, you can put your arms on blankets. Finding the breath. Open across the chest. So much of our ways that we exhibit trauma is by guarding the breath. So what can you do to unwind that tension pattern within you? Start to smell the cherry blossoms with a little bit of trust that you will not be shocked. And if something's pleasurable, stay there, stay in the sensation. Allow yourself to marinate there. Take the pauses in your day when you experience joy or beauty or connection or love and linger in these places. They imprint in our neurophysiology. All right, we're going to move the bolster down under our back, just to the bottom edge of your shoulder blades. And FYI, also, if you feel uncomfortable, if the rounded bolster isn't nice for you, you can always accordion fold your blanket too, so you can sit up and just do, you know, a little accordion. So it's still pretty narrow. It's not like a big wide bolster, but it could be more comfortable if it's flat instead of rounded. So you decide. Legs can be anywhere too. Baddha Konasana legs, straight legs, bent knees. How is this opening up the diaphragm? Can you feel the bottom rib cage wake and enjoy the waking? How about all the little grippy attachments of your diaphragm? Is there places you can free up? Are your neck and shoulders relaxed? Let's go ahead and move the bolster one more time. You might want to move the block or blanket under your head for this next variation. We're going to put the bolster under our pelvis, so right under your sacrum, not in your low back. And you can either choose to stretch one leg or both legs. If you're doing one leg, just a few breaths on one side and then switch. Maybe you want a different position with your arms. Maybe this doesn't feel very high and you'd rather go grab your block and stick it underneath you. So whatever feels nice, just feel the openness that the back bend includes the pelvis, that the psoas muscles that are stretching right now are deeply embedded in our fight or flight response. When we unconsciously have disassociated patterns, gripping patterns, tight patterns, breath holding patterns, our psoas senses so much of this, and we can carry a lot of unconscious tension across the front of our pelvis. So see what you can do to melt everything around your pelvis that you can, your sacrum, your hip joints, your pelvic floor. Let the traveling breath go down. All right, so when you are ready, you can decide how you're going to do this. Bring your knees toward your chest and stay on your blanket. If you move to a block, see how that feels. It might feel good, might not. You can always take the prop out from underneath you. Just bring your knees toward your chest. Relax your shoulders, relax your skull. Deep breath in and away. We're going to lift our legs straight up in the air. Okay. We're going to cross our right thigh high at the top of your thigh. Cross thigh over thigh, and then draw the knees toward your chest. If you tend to get pinchy in your right hip, Evert your foot. So press through the big toe and the inner heel and pull your pinky toe side up toward the outer knee. Sometimes this can change the sensation in your hip joint if you have a little catch in the front of your right hip. How's your breath? Okay, unwind the legs. Legs come up and out for a moment. And then we're going to switch left thigh high over right thigh, knees in. Relax your feet unless you need to do that little eversion for your hip. And remember, you can hold your shins, your knees, you can even hold your feet and bring them toward your shoulders. That, you know, everything supplies a little bit different of a sensation. Can you relax the neck and shoulders and the head? Can you soften through your face? All right, and then unwind the legs. Legs come up, and then put your feet down. Lift up and get the prop out of there, flat on the back. Bring your hips over to the right, knees up, and drop them left. Take a deep breath into a twist. Relax the shoulders. Relax your head. Turn your head. Find your ease of breathing here. Inhale, bring the knees up. Scoot your hips to the left. Knees come up and drop them right. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. So much of our focus on our own trauma or the trauma of the world right now can live in the mind. You know, maybe you're reading a lot, maybe your news feed is full, maybe your social media feeds are full, and all these imprints are coming into the mind. Give yourself time to process through the breath and body, to take away the stimulus constantly coming in, which in some ways can be a distraction from feeling the emotional states. Let's lift our knees up and put our pelvis back neutral and find your way towards Shavasana. So instead, teach yourself to stay in the sensations of the body. So let's be here now. As you melt down, can you enjoy once again the smell of the cherry blossoms? Is it something that can be easeful for you, that you can let yourself trust in this moment, the way the earth feels below you, the goodness in the sensations of your body, the ease and how nice ease feels as you relax your face, all the little hidden crevices. Enjoy the breath. Enjoy the breath. Don't just breathe for the sake of I must. Breathe for the sake of its beauty and enjoyment. What is the gift of the exhale for you? What is the gift of the inhale for you?
really sure what just happened. Something glitched out with Zoom. Go ahead and come on up to sit when you're ready. Bring your palms together at your heart. Just take a moment to close your eyes. Allow yourself to rest in your seated posture. Open your heart. Send forth your energy. Open your heart to compassion. Share your practice, your openness with another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.